Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Nasser Shake Show. I'm your guest host for today. My name is Dr. Nasser, and we have on tap for you today our continuing series of the debates between conservative Latinos and liberal Latinos. And they're going to be talking about the border wall, about Trump, and we're talking about separation at the border, all the different questions that are within the Latin community, and we're going to get to all that in the next few seconds. But before we do, if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, like, share, and follow us. Put your comments down below. Let us know what you feel, and let us know what you think. Because right now, we're getting ready to go to part 6 of the debates between conservative Latinos and liberal Latinos.
You ever be friends with any of the people that voted for Trump here?
Fuck no.
I would not.
Okay.
Oh,
What
I'm
about
sorry.
you?
That's unfortunate.
I meant that
That's unfortunate.
respectfully.
I think you're a nice person, so that's really unfortunate.
That's sad.
Personally,
That's really sad.
personally speaking, if any of them want to deport my families, if that really is their opinion, then I'm not gonna be their friend.
Okay, what do you have to say to that?
I look at everybody as an individual here, and I base you on your character. A lot of these people have very strong character. I don't judge them off of their political views or how they feel about what they think the world is doing and imperialism, all this stuff. Like, I don't really, like, I just feel like that's sad that we can't all walk away from here and go to one of these really nice bars here in Wynwood and have a fucking drink.
It's not that I have any hatred to anyone that voted for Trump, but to me, it's again, like, it's affecting people's in their everyday life. So if you have an opinion that I felt like can hurt me, can hurt someone that I love, I'm not going to sit down and have a casual drink with you. That just doesn't make any sense to me.
I can see.
That's because the reason why it doesn't make any sense to you, honey, the reason it doesn't make any sense to you is because opinions you feel can hurt, just like basically everybody says, feelings. They hurt your feelings. Oh, too bad, pity poor party. They hurt your feelings because they had to think the opinion. They hurt your itty bitty feelings. Aw, unbelievable. And that's the whole fact of the matter, folks, is liberals, when their feelings get hurt, when they get triggered, when somebody has a diversity of an opinion, a diversity of thought. Look, we can argue the points, and that's what these people are doing. That's fine. But I'll tell you what, I would still love to continue to discuss, debate, and, okay, let's say argue. But let's get to the point where, you know what? We agree to disagree, but we can still break some bread and have a Coke or a Pepsi or something, or a drink or whatever, right? Do we have to walk away pissed off at each other and hate, I guess, if that's a word, or just don't like? I don't dislike any of these people here. In fact, with some of the ones that are conservative like I am, we'll probably have a lot of disagreements on some things. Okay, but that's fine. Agree to disagree. Same thing with some of the professor over there. Yes, rhetoric gets a little bit, hyperbolic every once in a while, but that's because we're passionate about ideas. They're passionate about their ideas. They have a different, they were different set of growing up, a different set of values, different set of, circumstances in terms of their lives or whatever that have shaped their thoughts, their minds, their idiosyncrasies and everything. Same thing on our side, on my side. So of course we're going to have disagreements, but we've got to learn to agree to disagree, even if we have these, tumultuous discussions and battles or whatever. But then after that's over, okay, fine. That's what's so great about the United States. You got your views, I got my views. We get to vote. We get to send representatives that are of the ones that we like, that we think are going to implement things that we want done. And you know what? That's the way the rules have been set up. That's the way the rules have been established. Hey, let's go ahead and, let bygones, be bygones. Anyways, let's continue.
Have any hatred to anyone that voted for Trump, but to me, it's again like it's affecting people's in their everyday life. So if you have an opinion that I felt like can hurt me, can hurt someone that I love, I'm not going to sit down and have a casual drink with you. That just doesn't make any sense to me.
I can see the pain that that causes.
No, yeah, because I'm a people person. I love people at the end of the day. So
Okay.
Yeah,
I think this is why we're here, right? Because if maybe there is no common ground, maybe there is, but this
I
is
also don't
why
want to
we're
be
here.
misunderstood. I don't want people to feel like, anything goes. But I do feel that sometimes it's a communication thing, and you might not understand my point today. But if I could have more conversation with you, if we could build more bridges together, maybe over time you could see my point, or maybe over time you could change your mind, or maybe some aspects of me. I'm not so rigid about everything that I think and feel.
For those of you that can vote, that have the privilege of voting, when you go to the ballot box, what's the most important issue that you're going to be voting on?
We're talking about policies and politics, right? We get to talk about it in this air-conditioned room.
No, this is a privilege.
Right, this is an
100%.
extreme, people are literally dying right now. Like, that is a fact. People are dying right now.
People die every day.
Right?
My God, you are exhausted.
I
mean, people die every day. No, is that not true? People die every day.
I also don't feel like politics was necessarily ever constructed for the people. I'm talking about the down home grassroots people. It is an elite structure within itself where you elect the leaders of whatever thing. So if we look strictly to politicians who are paid to do what they do and shake hands to do what they do, we're going to be completely lost.
So will you raise your hand if you're not going to vote in 2020?
I'm gonna vote. I'm voting.
No, everyone that can vote plans on voting. For the ones of you that did vote for Donald Trump in 2016, will you be voting for him again in 2020?
Absolutely.
yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
the Democrats aren't really producing anybody that would capture my vote, that
Why are you gonna vote for
represent
him?
like my values.
I mean, we have been talking about politics and, what will stand up to you on a ballot. And, there's been this lately, you have politicians like Bernie Sanders, AOC, who want to give people, they want to have more government programs. They want to hand out more things. I don't think it's right to keep people dependent on the government. I think that you don't want, the less amount of people dependent on the government for anything is a good thing. That's why overall I'm conservative. That's why we'll be voting for Donald Trump. I want people to be lifted up on their own instead of having to rely on the government for a job, for a place to live, for welfare.
Like, you want to talk about handouts? Let's talk about these corporate handouts. You are anti-establishment. Really think about what corporate establishments are to the foundation of America.
Relying on the government for things, the less free they are. If they're
I'll tell you right now, buddy, what corporations are to the thing of America. They provide millions and millions and millions of jobs. That's what corporations do. They provide new incentives. They provide new technology. They provide all sorts of things. They provide the finances for the backbone of this country. Yes, there are problems with corporations. You can call them greedy. You can call them elitist, whatever you want. But they do good. And their fiduciary responsibility for a corporation is to its shareholders. All right? And there's a lot of retail shareholders out there that have stock in these companies. And they're making money and they're putting that thing away for their retirement savings or whatever. And that's a whole other conversation. But again, bad-mouthing corporations, another leftist idea, evil, greedy, and whatever. Okay, we can have that conversation. But there are some damn good things that corporations do.
dependent on the government for something that gives them less liberty, that gives them less choice, that lives
is to give people the right to live, right? Give people the right to live.
You're working through college so then you can get a better job, so then you can live a better life. Like, that is life. That's how you are socially responsible, economically responsible. Like, you have to work shit jobs now and go to college so that you can get a better.
Do you think that's okay?
Yes, that's how you. Why should we?
Okay. Say something and then we're gonna start wrapping it up. Go ahead.
The United States still has colonies till this day. Puerto Rico, Guam, Virgin Islands, okay? In Puerto Rico, the Boricua people there are still under colonialism, and every product that goes to Puerto Rico has to touch American soil first and then Puerto Rico. And that affects the people. That means the products there are twice as much, 3 times as much, etc. So when we talk about rights that the United States or Americans, what Americans? Because Puerto Ricans are Americans.
They're also like 40%, of your population is like on welfare.
Yep.
Because they're being colonized and constantly.
Did you not
And they've
understand?
also never voted to be independent. So why don't they just be independent?
Because
They should just vote.
because
They
first-
should just
because-
strip themselves from the United States.
They have had movements for independence. Those people, Oscar Lopez, the longest American political prisoner, was incarcerated for 36 years. These people are constantly demanding to be free, and they're constantly being killed and arrested and incarcerated. I'm sorry for cutting you out.
We could literally do this for 25 hours. But again, going back to 2020, what are the policies that you want to see that you're not seeing?
Give people a living wage. I'm graduating next year, and my degree is in education. And even as a person coming from the education realm, I do not believe that education is the way out. Give people a living wage. To me, I want to see that. I want that to be huge. Mass incarceration, that shit needs to stop. So where do we? There's so
You're
much.
obviously not a business owner to try to demand what,
Living
as a business
wage,
owner, you need to pay.
Incarceration, anyone else? What are policies that you want to see that are not happening? And you can just start.
I want
I'm
to
for
see
less government.
less
I want as
government,
little
limited
as
government.
Less spending on the military.
Absolutely.
Less spending
Less-
everywhere.
Latinx. No, what does it mean to be Latinx?
Me or any of my friends who are all Latin have never used this term Latinx before.
I really don't like the term, and the interesting thing about it is the only time you become Latin or Latinx is when you're outside of your country, if that makes sense. Because when you are where you are, you are whatever you are,
the
where
nationality.
you are. Yeah.
I mean, I identify as an Afro-Latina. To me, I felt separated from, I guess, the Latinx community because I wasn't Latin enough or whatever. Because once I started to identify with my Blackness, I didn't know that the two things could be combined. I felt like it had to be separate. I had no choice. Till then, I got an education, figured out these things, called the truth, and realized that that it's both inclusive. So, I mean, I understand why they chose Latinx because, people don't like to be called Spanish because it's from the Spanish conquistadors and all that stuff, but I identify personally as an Afro-Latina, not so much Latinx.
I didn't even know that word existed until now.
I don't even think it's a word at all. I feel like it's a way for people to kind of, not offend. I mean, I might not know the exact origin, but I feel like it's a way for people to not use the gender pronouns in Spanish, like, oh, you can't say Latino or Latina because we don't really know who they are, we don't know how they identify themselves. And I mean, we've been using, Hispanic people have been using that word for centuries, such a long time. And for all of a sudden, have somebody tell me how I can talk or change the way for me to talk, it's, it can be a little insulting.
Latino, Hispanic, whatever these words, they were given to us by different people. Those words actually we didn't use for centuries. I don't know where they got that information. It's relatively new terms. Latinx to me doesn't really make sense. I'm gonna be honest with you. Personally, if I go back home to my abuela and I say, oh, we're Latinos, we're Latinas, whatever, she's gonna be like, no, like what is that? You know what I mean?
And I would say that Latinx, instead of saying Latin, is forceful. It makes people think. It is intentional. It is something that is critiquing the current status quo.
Well, on that note, thank you so much for this discussion. I know it got heated. I know that at the end of the day, we still may disagree on many things. We may now agree a little bit more, but more than anything, I'm grateful for you. Everyone here is very smart, and I'm just, thank you very much.
So anyways, as this thing ends here, just to basically say that it ended basically with them talking about, again, the term, Latinx. And this is a term that was basically made up by white elitist liberals to assuage themselves, again, with virtue signaling and just basically just trying to, force their way into the cultural realm of now words, eschatology, right? Meanings of words. And so, you can't have male and feminine, gender within language, because a lot of languages they've got, in terms of their speech, it's in terms of words, they've got a feminine, they've got a male, masculine, feminine, and, in between. And the whole idea is that where these wokesters and virtue signaling elitists, they want to come in basically and just completely disrupt the language. And as the gentleman was basically saying, it's insulting for someone to come in and tell you how to speak the language that, was the language of your parents or grandparents, or the language from the country that your ancestors and you were sort of came from or whatever. And so again, it's all BS, folks. It's all BS, but it's being made and it's being done by white liberal elitist establishment. So on that thing, I can agree. If there is a corporation or some entity that's out there, it's that woke entity. It's the entity of the social justice warriors. It's the corporation of the social justice warriors, are called the corporation of people being woke. It's a corporation of those virtue signals. It's a corporation that the elitists make and trying to divide and tear everything apart, that for centuries and thousands of years have been the cultural and normative ways of speaking, the ways of conducting business, the ways of recognizing people and gender, all that, and sex and biology and all that. And nope, got to throw all that away. We got to go with the delusion of this. We got to go with the illusion of that. That's what's happening. Anyways, folks, we hope you enjoyed watching this video series. You're watching the Dr. Nasser Sheikh Show. I've been your guest host. My name is Dr. Nasser. Subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell, like, share, and follow us. Put your comments down below. Really know what you are thinking, what your reactions are to our reaction video. And I'll leave you with my final thought, which is, when you're right, you're right. And when you're left, you're wrong. I'll see you again next time, folks. Take care and stay safe.